Ever wonder why you can read a room in seconds, yet can't seem to relax when things are finally quiet? Your personality might actually be a highly advanced survival map. Today we're uncovering 5 rare traits that prove your difficult childhood didn't just change you, it rewired you for a different world. If you find these insights helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join our community for more deep dives into the psychology of you. Chapter 1. The Human Radar. Ever wonder why you can walk into a room and immediately feel the tension even if everyone is smiling? If you grew up in a home that felt like a minefield, you didn't just grow up, you evolved. Psychology calls this hypervigilance, but to you, it probably just feels like a sixth sense. You notice the tiny twitch in someone's eye, the slight sharpness in their tone, or the way the energy in the house shifts the moment a door opens. When your safety depends on the mood of the adults around you, your brain becomes a high-speed scanner. You learn to read the weather of a person's soul before they even spoke. This isn't just about being observant. It's a survival skill that never quite turned off. While others are oblivious to the underlying drama, you're already 3 steps ahead, calculating how to stay safe. It's an exhausting way to live, but it makes you incredibly intuitive. You might find that you are the first person to notice when a friend is upset, even when they say they are fine. You feel the off vibe instantly. This emotional intelligence is a rare gift, though it was born from a difficult place. If discovering the reasons behind your unique traits feels like a weight is being lifted, consider subscribing to the channel. Joining us here means you won't have to navigate these deep psychological waters alone, and you'll get more insights that help make sense of your story. You've spent a lifetime watching everyone else. It's finally time to understand yourself. Chapter 2. The Peacekeeper. Do you ever feel like you are the emotional glue holding everyone together? If you grew up in a household where the adults were unpredictable, stressed, or emotionally fragile, you likely stepped into a role you were never meant to have. You became the peacekeeper. You learned very early that if the people around you were happy, you were safe. If they were angry or sad, the world felt dangerous. This created a deep-seated habit of monitoring everyone else's feelings while completely ignoring your own. As an adult, this manifests as a heavy, constant sense of responsibility. If a friend is having a bad day, you feel a strange surge of guilt, as if it is somehow your job to fix their mood. If your partner is quiet, you immediately wonder what you did wrong and how you can make it better. This isn't just being a nice person. It is a survival strategy called emotional caretaking. You developed a specialized set of skills to manage other people's internal worlds because, as a child, that was the only way to keep the peace. The problem is that this role is exhausting. You spend so much energy making sure everyone else's emotional tank is full that you end up running on empty. You might even feel like a chameleon, changing your personality or your needs just to make sure you don't cause any friction. You are so used to being the one who handles everything that you don't know how to exist without a problem to solve or a person to comfort. It is a strange realization to discover that your kindness is often fueled by a fear of conflict. You've spent years being the stabilizer for everyone else, often at the cost of your own peace. Understanding that you are not responsible for the emotions of grown adults is one of the hardest but most freeing lessons you will ever learn. You were a child who had to act like an adult, and now you are an adult who is finally learning how to let others carry their own weight. Chapter 3. The Restless Mind. Have you ever noticed that the moment things finally get quiet, you start to feel incredibly uneasy? For most people, a peaceful afternoon or a silent house is a dream come true. But for someone who grew up in a chaotic or unpredictable environment, silence doesn't feel like peace. It feels like the calm before a storm. Your nervous system was trained to survive in a high-stress environment, so when the stress is suddenly gone, your brain doesn't know how to handle the lack of data. It assumes that if you can't hear a problem, it's just because the problem is hiding. This is why you might find yourself constantly cleaning, scrolling through your phone, or looking for something to worry about the second you sit down on the couch. You feel like you always have to be doing something. Relaxation feels undeserved, or worse, it feels dangerous. If you let your guard down, you might miss the next emergency. This state of constant readiness is your body's way of protecting you, but it means you are living in a permanent state of yellow alert. Psychology shows that when trauma is a part of your early development, your baseline for what feels normal is shifted toward intensity. Stability can feel boring or even suspicious. You might find yourself picking fights in healthy relationships or overcomplicating simple tasks just to recreate a level of friction that feels familiar to your brain. Learning to sit in the stillness without waiting for a catastrophe is a massive challenge, because you are essentially teaching your body that it is safe to stop being a soldier. You aren't lazy for wanting to rest, and you aren't broken for finding it hard. You are simply a person whose internal alarm system is stuck in the on position. Chapter 4. The Lone Wolf. Being told that you are incredibly independent is usually a compliment, but for many who survived a difficult childhood, that independence feels more like a cage than a badge of honor. There is a specific kind of self-reliance that psychologists call defensive independence. It isn't born from a desire to lead. It's born from the realization that, as a child, the people who were supposed to be there for you were inconsistent, unreliable, or simply absent. When you learn at 6 or 7 years old that you are the only person you can truly count on, your brain makes a pact with itself. I will never be in a position where I have to depend on someone else again. As an adult, this makes you the person who gets everything done. You are the one who refuses to ask for help even when you are drowning in work. You handle your car repairs, your emotional crises, and your financial stresses entirely behind closed doors. To the outside world, you look like a powerhouse, someone who is totally in control. But on the inside, the idea of asking for a favor feels like an extreme vulnerability. It feels like giving someone else the power to let you down, and that is a risk your nervous system isn't willing to take. This lone wolf mentality can make it very difficult to form deep, intimate connections. True intimacy requires the ability to be needy sometimes, to say I can't do this alone, and to trust that the person across from you will step up. For you, needing someone feels like a weakness because, in your past, needing someone led to disappointment or pain. You might find yourself pushing people away or keeping them at a distance, not because you don't love them, but because you are terrified of the day you might actually have to rely on them. You have spent your whole life being your own hero, but the cost of that strength is a deep, quiet loneliness. You've mastered the art of survival, but now you're realizing that you were never meant to carry the whole world on your shoulders. Chapter 5. The Secret Burden. There is a specific kind of person who is the first to offer a shoulder to cry on, but the last to ever admit they are struggling. If you grew up in an environment where your emotions were treated as an inconvenience, a burden, or even a threat, you learned to become a master of the hidden heart. You developed a deep, almost psychic level of empathy for others because you know exactly what it feels like to hurt in silence. You can sense someone else's unspoken pain from across a room, and you show up for them with a level of compassion that is rare and beautiful. However, there is a wall that stops that compassion from turning inward. You have spent so many years being the strong one that you have forgotten how to be the hurting one. To you, showing your own pain feels like an admission of defeat. These rare traits aren't just habits. They are proof of your incredible resilience. Understanding your past is the first step toward a softer, more peaceful future. If this resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Comment below which trait you recognized in yourself. Let's heal together.